Welcome to another Treasures for Life Ministry health feature. Health feature so simple that even a child can know it and do it. Today I'll be talking to you about one of the laws of health. But before I tell you which law of health I'll be focusing on, I'm going to read 3 scriptures for you, and you try to guess which law of health I will be speaking about. Ecclesiastes 9 verse 7, the first part says, "Go thy way, eat thy bread with joy." Psalm 78 verse 24 says, "And had rained down manna upon them to eat, and had given them of the corn of heaven." 1 Corinthians 10 verse 31 says, "Whether therefore ye eat, or drink, or whatsoever ye do, do all to the glory of God." Now, if you had guessed that we will be talking about food or diet or nutrition, then you are certainly correct. The health law that I'll be focusing on is nutrition. We can live as God representative on this earth in obedience to all of his law, just as Daniel. A basic aspect of Daniel's obedience was in the diet. Our physical health is maintained by the things that we eat, for that which we put into our bodies affects all of our organs and tissues. A wrong diet or an indulged appetite of even good diet will greatly hinder your mental and your physical efficiency, and this will also affect your spirituality. Eating the right amount of the right food and only at regular hours, specific regular hours, is what is needed by all. Our food should be of a simple, healthful quality, and we should eat our food slowly in an atmosphere of cheerful thankfulness to God for his many blessings. So, we should not be eating food in a hurried manner. We should not be eating food when we are anxious and we are stressed and all of that, because we will impede digestion. And if your digestion is affected, your food cannot be properly digested, because the stomach has the work of putting that food starting in the mouth first, while chewing slowly, masticating those food, and then it travels down towards the stomach. And if it is taken into the body with a mind that is not at peace, then that food will stay longer in the stomach, because the mind and the body are so connected together that when one is affected, the other sympathizes. And so, because your mind is not at peace, your body will not be at peace to digest the food. So you will be putting more burden on your digestive system in taking food at this time. So it is best to rectify the mind aspect, to do things to uplift the mind, play songs. The Bible and Spirit of Prophecy talks about making a joyful noise unto the Lord. And it also tells us in the Spirit of Prophecy that singing is a weapon against discouragement. So back to our nutrition, the laws of health. Fruits. Here we have some fruits here. Fruits. Vegetables. Here are some vegetables. Nuts and grains are what our diet should consist of. This should be free from meat or spice or grease of every kind. This is the most helpful diet for us. It requires careful thought to prepare nourishing food. This effort requires faith in God, earnestness of purpose, and a willingness to help one another. We are mortal, and we must supply ourselves with food that will give proper sustenance to our bodies. Investigate your habits of diet. Study from cause to effect. You do not need to have a rich, greasy, complicated diet like the world. But you don't have to have a skimpy, impoverished diet either. There must be healthful foods on your table. You must eat these because the body needs nutrients. However, in some cases, you will find that certain types of food do not agree with you. For example, some persons, when they take some beans internally, it affects them. In such cases, change those and do an elimination and challenge. Change and see what best works for you, and you work with those. Variety is a good thing to have, but even too much variety can be detrimental to your health. In making this choice, keep in mind certain types of foods that are for certain countries. You also want to take in consideration your occupation. So if you're a person who does little manual labor, you're a worker who uses most of his brain or her brain, then your diet will be different from a person who uses a lot of muscles to work outdoors or to do construction work or farming. So study, as I said, from cause to effect, and do the things that need to be done to ensure that you have proper health of body, mind, and soul. God will guide His children to develop simple, healthful recipes that will help many others. Develop your talents and learn how to develop more healthy meals. In order to better understand these things, we also need to better understand the process of normal digestion within our bodies. Do you know that overeating injures the stomach and it also weakens all the digestive organs? Disease is thus brought on when you overeat. Too much vital power is being expended in trying to digest so much food. So when you eat a lot of food, your body has to take off years, months, weeks of your life to try to digest. That's the vital force. So if you're giving your body excessive work that's so unnecessary, then you are shortening by default your lifespan. The immediate effect for some who overeat may be headache, have indigestion, some have pain, some have other issues. Eat your food sparingly. Eat of the best food. Do not wait until your stomach is full and then you say, wow, my belly is full, so I will have no more. Just before it reaches the state of fullness, it's best to stop. Because once you reach the full state where your stomach is full and you say, oh, I can't go anymore, I am full, then you have overeaten. That which we need more of is spiritual food. Study God's word, for that will help us to have overcoming power over our appetite. Overeating has a worse effect on the body than overworking. The excess food that is taken up into the body, it clogs the system, it burdens the life, and if you continue to do it, it will lead to disease. IBS, your GERD, all these things, stomach acid, acid reflux, you name it, it will have other disease stemming from that as well. Because many of the diseases that men suffer from find their places in the blood or they started in the stomach. Do not overeat. Do not study also or do heavy work or violent exercise immediately after a meal. What you can do after you have had a meal, just take a casual, simple walk. And you call that a digestive walk. But don't go and do a strenuous exercise, because what you're doing is You are stopping your stomach from digesting the food and focusing on you moving with that extra strength for movement, and to call upon the brain power if you're doing studying, and that the body will leave the ear of digestion to focus on where you place it. So do not study or do excessive exercising or work after you have just eaten. There are far too many people who worry about their food. Eat your food cheerfully. Thank God for it. Eat with a mind that is at peace. There are a number of foods which it is best to eliminate or minimize in our diet. A meal of only cold food should not be partaken. Warm your food first. Hot drinks and hot food debilitate the stomach. Very cold foods require too much vital force in order to be warmed up in the stomach before it is digested. So when you take cold things into the stomach has to warm it up before it can be taken in. If you take too hot, the stomach has to cool it before it can be taken in. So you are taking life, days, weeks, months off your life's force. So you are shortening your life by the simple things that you do. When you sit down to eat, take your time to eat. Chew your food slowly and do not crowd in a great variety of food at one meal. Don't do it like a buffet style. The benefit derived from food depends less on the quantity eaten than on how thoroughly it was masticated. So if you want to have the best of your food, it's not the amount that you're taking, it's the amount that was chewed. And you can look at history, where history spoke about this gentleman who was in a prison. I think it was a Russian prison. Don't quote me there. But he was in prison with many other prisoners, and they were given only a cracker per day to survive. All the other prisoners, when they got it, they gobbled up the crackers. But this man chewed his cracker very slowly. And it ended up that this man outlived all the other prisoners. Yes, because he got more from his food. He didn't waste his food by chewing it fast and swallowing it. He slowly chewed this food and he got the nutrients needed to subsist and to allow him to live for a longer time. Do you know that we should not have a great variety of food at our meal? 3 or 4 dishes are plenty. It is more important that we eat that which will agree with us than that we taste of every dish that is set before us. It is also well for us to learn not to eat fruit and vegetables at the same meal. We should vary the meals from day to day. Do not eat the same thing day after day after day after day. All mixed and complicated foods are injurious to the health. And above all, as I mentioned before, do not overeat. Overeating is one of the quickest avenues to develop disease and also death, especially if a person is a sedentary worker or a sedentary person, lazy person, or a person who doesn't do much activity. You have to be careful, very careful to this point. It is best that we also allow at least 5 hours to pass between each meal. At the end of each meal, pass 5 hours. 2 meals a day are better than having 3 meals, especially for those who take little exercise. Those who love to eat late suppers just before bedtime are in particular harm. If you're going to take a late supper, the third meal that would be, it should be so light, like a bread or crackers and a fruit. And it should be taken several hours before you plan to go to your bed. Remember to have your meals at a regular time, specific time. So if you plan to have a breakfast at 7, keep to 7 each morning. If you plan to have your dinner at 2, because 2 meals are better than 3. But if you still want to do your 3, you have to pencil it in until you get the 5 hours. And remember that you do not eat and drink at the same meal. Eat your food first, and then you wait 1.5 hours or 2 hours, then you can start drinking. Or if you decide to drink, you drink half hour before you decide to eat. Food does not need to be washed down. When you take liquid into your stomach, you are washing down the food, and that is also a disease-causing element because it lessens the body's capacity to digest your food. Do not eat fruits that has decay on it. It starts rotting. Decayed vegetables as well. These will ferment in your stomach and will poison the blood. As with grains and vegetables, prepare the fruit for the table in a manner simple as possible. So if you see a little decay on your fruit, don't say, oh, just part of it spoil. Once decay has set in, all of the fruit or vegetable has spoiled. Even though the other part may look like nothing is wrong with it, the decay, the death has already set into the whole fruit. So you should not eat decay or spoiled food. Take your time to know your body, and your body will take its time to give you the best of health in the most providential possible way, because our bodies were created to heal itself, and because the body is created to heal itself, we have to give the body the right condition to help it to do so. So remember, when you're eating, keep your mind pure, think holy thoughts, eat a food that is nourishing, and eat slowly, chew your food properly, and do not eat and drink at the same meal, and water is the beverage of choice. So thank you for watching our Law of Health, talking about nutrition or the diet. Hope you were blessed. Visit and like our page, Treasures for Life Ministry, on YouTube and Facebook. Maranatha, Jesus is coming.